I used to say sorry all the time to Jesus or to God. Rinse and repeat. Your mileage may vary. There's the first one. The second one requires me to drink. But like physically, like praying for, I'm sorry I did that. Now I would not take digs at people that do a version of that. But yeah, there's a time where I needed to feel better. I needed to physically say, not physically, but say like audibly in my brain or even out loud, like, oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for X, Y, and Z specific things. And now I think my healthier version of me in that is just recognizing the mistake and like, oh yeah, that happened and that wasn't great. But
so confession and forgiveness, it feels like, are both not exactly apologizing. Because in my mind, the apology piece is like, it's something that I did to you specifically. You know what I mean? Like, Zach, I'm sorry that I stole $5 out of your wallet.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. No one carries cash. That's how you know it's a lie. I'm sorry for lying. So the question then comes to my mind is like, okay, so when you sin, do you feel like you are sinning against God? Always, every time.
No.
All sin is a sin against God.
Nope. And that's my heresy. Hasn't always been that way, but right now, no.
How come?
Because I believe that if there is a God who cares about me personally that exists beyond time and space, that forgiveness is just a reality that's already there, and I just need to recognize it. Does that sound woo?
But is sin there?
Yeah. And recognizing like, hey, I fucked up there and just reorienting. But the idea of God beyond time and space, like, but you didn't say it. You didn't say the exact thing. You turned away from your sin, but you didn't say it exactly in your head.
But why?
It just seems silly.
But why did you?
It seems petty.
But why do you turn though? Because you recognize.
Yeah.
Right. So the
sin exists. Like I'm oriented towards adding love to the world, at least in my own life, and trying to like have it be with my. So if it's something violates that, any sin is like a violation towards directional agape love. I don't know if that's a
violation
perfect thing.
Away from.
Yes, thank you. And so when that happens, like recognizing it, and sometimes I might not realize it until a family member or somebody says it, and then. But I've lost the guilt of like needing to repent every time to God because it is a sin against God. And I know I'm counter to a lot of Christianity
probably
who think that you have sinned against God and God is angry at you for that. And so if you don't repent.
But there's a lot of times where I say, what am I doing? And when I really reflect on it, I'm talking to God.
That's a confession.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just a real confession. And so it's a version of that.
Right. God already knows. He already knows it, like, knows where I'm at, knows what I'm up to, knows where I'm headed, and is giving me guidance. I can listen or not. But when I'm saying, what am I doing? Like, why did I do that? Or, it's like, I'm going the wrong direction, as you said.
That's how we know that God is Santa Claus.
Explain.
He knows when you're naughty or nice.
I think that's where most Christians are at, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is like he's keeping a list.
So
he's checking it twice.
That's not true.
I feel like if I sin against another person.
Yes. And this was your original question.
You guys are helping me kind of think this through out loud.
Oh, so it's free therapy?
My apology. Yes, it is free. And sip your beer slowly. Oh, no, you don't have my beer yet, but you should. It's good.
The Stereo Pills.
Stereo Brewing Pilsner. Run out of words.
Free jingle. Pilsner burp.
Pilsner burp. I feel like if I sin against someone, which is typically the way most of it happens, then I'm apologizing to the person. I'm asking them for forgiveness. And only if there's some like, I don't know. I feel like that represents 98.5% of how I think about sin and react to sin in my life. Now, is there other times where I'm like, hey, God, there's a general, maybe not something specific, not, hey, there was this moment in time, God, please forgive me for this exact moment in time. But maybe it's more like, hey, I've been a selfish person lately. And it's just been broadly selfish. God, I confess that. I recognize that in my life, and that's not the thing that you want for me. But I feel like that seems to be, for whatever reason, like that's the exception. Most often, I feel like I'm apologizing and asking for forgiveness from individuals versus presenting that to God. If I was a really good Christian, would I do both?
I don't know if there's a difference, though.
Zach, will you forgive me? And once I'm done with that, I will go back and ask God to forgive me.
And what if God doesn't forgive you?
He already did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. And maybe the image-bearing nature of humanity, when you get forgiveness from another human, you're getting forgiveness from God.
Well, I think if you won't forgive,
I don't know if I buy that one.
It's like forgiving,
but I don't know if I sign up for that.
It's like forgiving your debtors. If you will not pass that on,
as God has forgiven you,
you're putting yourself on a slippery slope for yourself, for how if you're going to hold on to that, that's a burden that's going to eat you alive if you're just not willing to recognize, and because it's such a huge thing when you ask for forgiveness from somebody, and to go, and there's some people who,
it's humbling.
Yeah, there's some people who actually, would say, I realized that was a big deal for you. Like,
yeah,
maybe some people are not like that. You're like, I know that was a big deal. And, and so in that moment, the person who's asking for forgiveness realizes, okay, this isn't such a bad thing. I'm not losing my pride and ego are not damaged. I actually feel something different than what I ever thought it would be.
It's fine if you don't have an answer to this. Have you ever gone in for an apology or asked for forgiveness and it was received really poorly? As in, it was like, no, piss off. I don't forgive you. You can get out of here. Like, has that ever happened to you?
Oh, years ago with
her name's Tanya.
With my wife.
Yeah.
Wait, oh man, when we were this is before Jesus times, but it was, I would be, she'd like, I don't want to hear it. Don't even.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
completely closed off. It's just, it doesn't matter what you say right now.
Oh, I'd start with a little story and she'd be like, I already smell your bullshit. You can just stop right there. And yeah, I'd try and justify whatever the heck I was, BSing and trying to, make like I'm better in this whole situation of marriage and being, a husband and a father. And I don't know why I'm talking like I'm from the South now, but
shots fired. I think you need to ask forgiveness from the South.
Yeah.
Sorry, South.
Anyway, yeah. I think wives, just in general, they can smell your BS from a mile away, and they're like, not just stop. Come back in a couple of days.
Your wives can, your friends can, and I think that's a good indicator that you've got people around you who know you really well.
And it's a great thing to have. If you don't have somebody that's got the barometer on
the BS indicator,
on you, then that's not good. It's good to have good friends who will call things out, and wives who will be like, no, or you know what? I really appreciate that. It's like, it's not that we're running our lives based off how our wives feel, but it's nice that
they're the most important opinion in our lives. Right?
Yeah, on this earth, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But on Mars, my most important one,
because your wife isn't on Mars. Yes. Your wife is on Venus, according to that book.
According to that book, she is on Venus.
Wait, what's the title?
And I'm on Mars with all the dudes. Does that mean that only, like, it's all everyone's...
Oh, it's the biggest party ever. Yeah.
Only women on Venus, only dudes on Mars.
Yeah.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Be better if it was men are from Venus because it rhymes with
penis. Yeah.
I was going to say between us, but whatever.
Wow, I like saying penis out loud into a microphone. Jeff, how those headphones sound when I say penis? Penis. How's that sound? Is that good?
Listen, you're going to get us demonetized before we can ever be monetized.
Okay. Hey, it reminded me of we're talking about love and forgiveness. I'm going to read the most cliche section of the Bible. If you know Wedding Crashers, they place a bet.
Oh, yeah.
On whether it's 1 Corinthians or the other one. I can't remember the other one they bet on, but and it's worth.
I love the inside baseball of that little bet, though. Do you remember that scene? It's early in Wedding Crashers. They go to the wedding and they start betting which verse is going to be read at the wedding, and it's and they're like,
I don't remember.
Oh, it's 1 Corinthians, and the other dude's like, no, it's going to be.
What is the other one?
Second Timothy.
I don't remember.
Wife submit. Maybe it was whatever. But yeah, so they have two of them, and it is the two main verses that always get read at every single wedding. And I love that they're both like, which one is going to be? No, it's this one. No.
I don't remember.
That movie is.
It's epic.
National treasure.
Epic. Oh yeah.
But this is sort of a touchstone for me, faith-wise, because losing my faith in the doctrine of inerrancy or certain aspects of God that I thought were totally true and now I'm not sure about. The idea of God being agape love, like the center of the universe and of all reality, the creative force behind the universe being agape love, which is just self-sacrificial in nature.
Yeah.
I believe and Dan McClellan of Data Over Dogma I'm wearing this shirt. He's a Bible scholar, but
he tag him in the show notes.
He can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the word agape is being used whenever it says love in this passage. So it's worth considering, is this what God's like? Because there are some passages of the Bible that seem to allude that God is like this, but also in other ways that might be less helpful, but not.
I don't know what that means. But
okay,
continue.
That's fine. That's par for the course. I'm on brand then. If I speak in tongues of men or angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries.
Is that a diss on drummers, by the way, right there? He's
probably.
Like, I'm just a shitty drummer.
Dude, Paul was the original Church of Christ guy. That's like, no drums.
Yeah.
No drums.
If I'm like this, I'm just a crappy drummer, not even a musician.
If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered. I was shitty at that today. I was not loved today. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me, except for video games, Paul. Sorry. But for now, we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. It's like, we're so used to that passage. I think sometimes we miss the power. It's just a powerhouse of there's a reason it's a cliche now, but sometimes you hear it so much, you just lose. Like if you just put God in there, like God is patient, God is kind.
Yeah.
God does not envy, God does not boast, God is not proud, God does not dishonor others. God keeps no record of wrongs. And I think a lot of Christians, for good reason, and sometimes we should have seasons of maybe thinking about it this way, You're thinking of God as the checklist. Like, well, you did this, 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 this. God is more like Santa Claus. So I think for some people, depending on where they're at in life, it might be more healthy for them to think about God in that way. But I don't think that's the fullness of God. I think Paul is trying to propel us forward into like, what is the completeness of God and God's love? It is these things. The greatest of these is love. But more than faith and hope.
And those aren't just descriptions though of God. I mean, that is a blueprint for us for life, right?
Yeah, and I think that is you. I would make the argument that that's you being made into
the image of God
more completely.
Yeah, as you were reading that, I was like, man, it would be an interesting. This week, I'm going to try to go back and read through that section, but instead of like, I'm just going to add in, I can be patient, I can be kind, I can all of those things, and I wonder how that will make me feel when I'm done reading all of that in that type of.
Like a tone setter.
Yeah.
Like the other verse, what was the other one we talked about?
Jacob tied his ass to a tree and walked 500 miles.
Yeah. And that's where we get that song.
Yep.
And I will walk
500 miles.
And I will walk
500 more.
Just a bee.
Listener, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you are missing.
Jeff just had
the jokes.
He had a Mitch McConnell moment there. Yeah. Just shut down, powered down.
Sir, have you tried restarting your router?
You guys are just. For me, I'm like, are we going sideways? We're going. What's happening here?
That's good.
Good stuff.